my story. I'm going to show you my story.
This isn't a typical music documentary, and of course not. M.I.A. isn't a typical musician. The British Sri Lankan rapper is known as much for her politics as she is for her playlist. Her career has been about moving the goalposts, the culture of identity politics, the desire to be heard, and just getting people to listen. All of that is stamped across a new film, Matangi, M.I.A, M.I.A. It opened this weekend in Canada. To make a sound. New York, quiet down, I need to make a sound. From the moment she burst onto the music scene in 2004, M.I.A.'s voice has been unapologetically fierce and fiercely unapologetic. You wanna go, you wanna win a war, like PLO, don't surrender. Stirring controversy with her lyrics and her videos, and not one to pass up the opportunity of a big stage to make a big statement.
Super Bowl showdown over the big game's blockbuster halftime show. The NFL is now suing rapper M.I.A, but instead of issuing an apology, M.I.A is fighting back.
The bigger the spotlight, the more M.I.A has stood up for the causes that drive her. From the global migrant crisis to women driving in Saudi Arabia.
Live fast, die young, bad girls do it well. Live fast, die young, bad girls do it well.
What experience are we allowed to share from these places?
You've got access to a microphone. Please use it to say something.
I fly like paper, get high like planes. If you catch me at the border, I got visas in my name.
Always at the core of her music and her activism, her life as a Tamil refugee who grew up in London.
It's a song about stereotypes attached to like immigrants and stuff like that, is that they come and take the jobs and take the money.
Born Matangi Arupragasam, she grew up as part of the ethnic minority Tamil community in northern Sri Lanka. Her father was one of the founders of the Tamil resistance in the lead up to a 25-year civil war. That conflict forced her to flee when she was just 10.
When I was there, the war just started. So I remember it not being conscious of the fact that you're Tamil, and then suddenly being really conscious of it because the war just started. So then when you come to England, they hadn't had Sri Lankan refugees before. So when we landed, people didn't know what we were. They had the Brixton riots in '81, and 4 years later, you come and it's still, there was a lot of racist tension, you know. So yeah, it was just like learning that, oh, you're something else and it's not even the thing that you really are. And you're just sort of lumped in this category of brown.
Matangi became M.I.A, a refugee with an ambition to become a documentary filmmaker. How M.I.A then became M.I.A started with a phone call on the day she graduated from art school.
I got a phone call saying my cousin is M.I.A, and he and I went to school together when I was in Sri Lanka. And when he went M.I.A, I felt really guilty by that, you know, that somebody my age was, and my favorite cousin had to make that decision to fight for, you know, his people, and that I was outside an art school, just graduating with a fine art degree and didn't know what to do with it, you know. And it just sort of really knocked me sideways, you know. And that was the first time I felt really connected to back home to Sri Lanka and the concept of people like me and people my age and what they were doing there. And I needed to go and investigate.
When
I was your age, I used to live in this room.
What started as a journey to reconnect with her family and find her cousin who went missing during the war became something much bigger.
That's you, and that's my little brother. 2 out of 6 boys are dead.
There's a genocide going on. I felt that I'd not anticipated how terrible the situation was. I think every day there was a new event and I was learning new things, and the government had just bought these new fighter planes from Israel, the MiG-23 planes, and they were going on like a 3-week offensive in Jaffna, which is the town I came from, which is why even in the movie, though I go to Sri Lanka, I still don't go back to my actual house in Jaffna because the government was bombing it every day.
And they've bombed the airport.
Bloody world is looking at this. I don't understand.
Even if I hear serious things like murders and rapes and genocide, it's still disposable, useless, and pointless, because nobody's doing anything about it.
That was really an eye-opening moment for me, and that's why I was like, oh, this needs more attention and this needs more help internationally.
So that's effectively the origin story of M.I.A., a nod to the cousin she never found and the people she left behind. She made it her purpose to tell the world what was happening to Tamils in Sri Lanka, and that led to her most controversial video. This video for her song Born Free was temporarily banned from YouTube for its graphic nature. It was M.I.A.'s way of recreating real, uncensored videos of executions in Sri Lanka, replacing Tamils with redheads in America, just to get her message across.
I need to keep the immigrant story in all my work, always, because that is what I'm trying to make sense of. We're used as a scapegoat. Brexit, we're used as a scapegoat to build a wall. But people have always mixed and mingled and moved, and interesting things happen because of it. So, yeah, I think it's interesting when people were like, why are you talking about this? You know, just why do you want to talk about the fact that you came from the council flat or you're a refugee? Like, you know, just like be creative without having to talk about those things. But yeah, I'm just an artist that draws on real life and real experiences.